Have you ever thought about the bizarre searches people make on Google? Just to give you an idea, the question, how to hide a body, gets around 1,000 searches per month on average. And how to get away with murder, nearly 2,000 monthly searches. Believe it or not, it's true. And these are just the simpler searches. There are even more disturbing ones, like bizarre exorcism audios, cannibalism rituals, the effects of the drug crocodile, and much more. We've uncovered some things about these bizarre topics and many others. But a word of caution, if you choose to look up these subjects online later, it's all on you. You might find yourself losing sleep for quite a while. If you're brave enough, find out now which Google searches you should never make if you want to sleep peacefully tonight. The case of Anneliese Michel's exorcism is both tragic and terrifying. It's the story behind the film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Anneliese, a young German woman, died from dehydration and malnutrition, but what makes this case particularly unsettling is the uncertainty about whether her condition was truly a case of demonic possession or severe schizophrenia. Anneliese came from a deeply religious family that sought the help of two exorcist priests when they noticed signs they interpreted as possession. Over the course of 10 months, the priests performed 67 exorcism rites. During these sessions, which could last up to 4 hours, Anneliese exhibited profoundly disturbing behaviors. She would tear her clothes, urinate and drink her own fluids from the floor, and eat flies, spiders, charcoal, and even the head of a dead bird. Original recordings of some of these exorcism sessions are available online, and they are utterly bizarre. They capture the intensity and desperation of the sessions, and the disturbing nature of what is heard is almost indescribable. The material is so shocking that it can be deeply unsettling for anyone. If you value your sanity, I strongly advise against listening to these recordings. The experience can be profoundly disturbing and hard to forget. The case of the Joelma building continues to haunt many who pass by the site. On February 1, 1974, in São Paulo, a massive fire broke out, claiming the lives of 191 people and leaving over 300 injured. The blaze was sparked by a short circuit in an air conditioning unit on the 12th floor at 8:45 a.m. In the aftermath, the scene was both horrific and surreal. Bodies of victims began to fall from the upper floors of the building, and the streets below were soon littered with the dead. On the 8th floor, firefighters discovered at least 11 bodies huddled together, completely carbonized from the flames. The building that now stands at the site of the fire is called the Edifício Praça de Bandeira. The violent and tragic deaths caused by the fire have given rise to stories about the presence of spirits haunting the corridors of the building. The most chilling mystery of this tragedy involves 13 individuals who were burned alive inside an elevator. To this day, none of them have been identified by forensic experts, and they were buried side by side, coming to be known as the 13 Souls. Are you brave enough to search for this on Google tonight? I warn you, it might not be a good idea, as what you find could deeply disturb your mind. As I mentioned earlier, the choice is yours. Sweet dreams, if you can manage to have any. Armin Meiwes, a German born in 1962, became infamous on the internet as the Master Butcher, and the reason behind this nickname goes beyond bizarre. He frequented dark forums dedicated to cannibalism, searching for someone willing to volunteer as his next meal. Yes, you read that right. It's disturbing, but the worst is yet to come. In March 2001, Armin met a man named Bernd Jürgen, who, incredibly, offered himself to be eaten. They arranged to meet at Armin's home, where they engaged in sexual activity and, in an even darker turn of events, prayed together before planning every detail of how Bernd would be consumed. As if this story wasn't already horrifying enough, Bernd made a chilling request, that his organ be bitten off. When this proved impossible, Armin used a gruesome tool, ominously nicknamed the slaughterhouse, to amputate his victim's penis. But the story doesn't end there. What happened next is so nauseating that many prefer not to know the details. The entire macabre ritual was filmed by Armin, every moment captured on tape that, thankfully, should never see the light of day. What followed after the amputation goes beyond comprehension, involving the attempt to cook and consume Bernd's flesh in an act that blends horror, desperation, and unspeakable depravity. If you have the stomach for it and want to know every gruesome detail, check out our video on the channel. However, a word of warning, I won't go into further detail here because just imagining the scenes is enough to turn your stomach. And one final recommendation, I'll leave you with 5 words that might save your sanity: do not Google this story. Have you heard of the drug crocodile? If not, it's a story that warrants your attention. Crocodile was initially developed to treat severe pain, with the same purpose as morphine. However, due to its easy production and low cost, the drug began to be synthesized at home, making it widely accessible. One of the main reasons crocodile gained notoriety is the difficulty in obtaining heroin. The difference between these two drugs is striking, starting with the duration of their effects. While heroin can provide a euphoric high for up to 8 hours, the effects of crocodile last, at best, only 90 minutes. Since the production process for crocodile takes about an hour, many users end up focusing solely on making and injecting the drug, leading to a destructive and unsustainable lifestyle. The physical consequences of using crocodile are devastating. The drug causes necrosis at the injection site, exposing bones and muscles and leading to severe skin deterioration. Over time, the appearance of users resembles that of zombies from movies, with wounds and lesions that make their physical state shocking. The severity of the physical changes is so extreme that it's hard to describe without causing profound discomfort. Images of people affected by crocodile are disturbing and often horrifying. If you're sensitive to impactful content, it's best to avoid searching for it on Google. The reality behind this drug is brutal and can be extremely unsettling. The number 13 has a long history, filled with superstitions and legends, most of which are tied to negative connotations. The most famous explanation for its ill repute comes from the Last Supper, where Jesus and his 12 apostles, making a total of 13 people, gathered for a final meal before Jesus' crucifixion the following day. From this event, the number 13 began to be associated with bad omens and paganism. There's also another story about the number 13 that doesn't relate to the sacred or divine, but rather to the Lord 13. Have you heard of him? According to reports, this figure is an old man with a weathered appearance, wearing a straw hat that shadows his face, and has skin covered in wrinkles, blisters, and scars. He holds an antique gold watch. The chilling part is that when you see him in the mirror, time seems to stop. To communicate with this being, you need to perform a specific ritual, face your reflection in the mirror with the lights off, and wait for your eyes to adjust to the darkness. At 3 a.m. on the 13th of the month, repeat the phrase, Lord 13, I am here, 13 times. Of course, you might dismiss this as just an eerie tale, but if curiosity gets the better of you, you can find accounts of those who tried the ritual and the disturbing results they faced. Remember, the number 13 might just be a superstition to some, but for others, it marks the beginning of a curse. The curse of the number 13. Proceed with caution and at your own risk. You've probably heard a few stories about Slender Man by now, but can you imagine how terrifying it must be to actually see this eerie figure and then have a loved one disappear? Just thinking about it sends chills down my spine. If you're skeptical and think such things can't happen, it's likely because you haven't heard the story of Thomas Nelle. This case is undoubtedly one of the most bizarre tales to ever circulate on the internet. Whether it's true or not, it's undeniably horrifying. In 1989, a young girl named Jessica was playing at a friend's house when her father called, asking her to come home. Her friend's father told him that she had left about half an hour earlier. Since the walk home was short, her father went out to look for her. Worried, he walked through a nearby forest, hoping to find his daughter. But what he encountered there was something out of a nightmare. He later went to the police station to report what he had seen, and the audio recording of that interrogation still exists. It's beyond shocking, unlike anything you've ever heard before. If you dare to listen, I recommend using headphones and preparing yourself for a sleepless night.
It took my Jessica! It's now coming for me! I can't sleep! I can't live! You don't know! You don't know! Oh God! Oh God!
Calm down.
It's right there!
Holy crap!
Do you have ophidiophobia? If so, be warned, the following scenes might be quite disturbing for you. Ophidiophobia is an intense fear of snakes, and just hearing the sounds they make can be enough to send shivers down your spine. Now, imagine the horror of falling into a nest full of these creatures. Just thinking about being surrounded by snakes is enough to give anyone chills. One person decided to film a nest filled with snakes, but what happened during the recording is truly terrifying. While filming, something completely unexpected and horrifying occurred. What started as a simple snake video quickly turned into an absolute nightmare. The level of panic and shock is palpable, and the footage is so intense that it can leave anyone feeling unsettled. If you have any aversion or sensitivity to this kind of content, I would strongly advise against watching. The scene is so disturbing that it may not only affect your emotional state but also leave a lasting impact. So, think carefully before clicking on the video, because what you're about to see might be more than you're prepared to handle.